It's 9 o'clock here at Radio Adelaide. You're listening to Songcatcher. We heard a little bit about the weekend you just had at Hawker. It was actually a really cool thing, I think. Ecotourism is a really important part of it, in the light of the potential for there to be something rather nasty up there soon.
Yes.
Well, what we're seeing at the moment is a real groundswell of people questioning what our governments are doing, both sides, any side, federal or state, and there's something pretty concerning going on in South Australia, where the federal government want to build a radioactive nuclear waste dump in the heart of our farming land in Kimber and also in the heart of our tourism in the Flinders Ranges. And it's not low-level medical waste only, it is also intermediate/high-level waste. In France, they classify intermediate as high. So it doesn't get any more deadly than that, and the half-life is tens of thousands of years. The main reason why it's such a massive concern is that essentially it does not meet world's best practice. And I'll give you a very quick rundown, and this is why we're in Hawker on the weekend, because we had a concert up there. It was not a protest concert, but certainly a concert to be mindful of what's going on in the area and to give people a little bit of hope. But the things we are mainly concerned about is that the International Atomic Energy Organisation and also our own our PANZA recommend world's best practice for a nuclear waste dump to be away from earthquakes, away from flooding, away from conservation parks, away from farmland, and away from traditional human activity and in Indigenous lands. And what we have found out that the Flinders Ranges is is one of the most earthquake-prone areas in Australia. It has massive floodings in the last 5 decades. There have been 4 major floodings, and one of those floodings in 1989 actually made it to Spencer Gulf. And of course, we have our fishery at the bottom of Spencer Gulf in Port Lincoln. Farming land in Kimber, the site will actually be built right in the middle of farming land in Kimber. And in Flinders Ranges, we have organic grazing cattle. Human inhabitants, of course, Flinders Ranges, tourism, towns and what have you. And both the Adnyamathanha and Mangala peoples have their traditional lands right next to these sites. So we are all scratching our heads for 2 reasons. One, an international or not a national radioactive waste dump to be built in what we would classify as the worst possible site in Australia. And these have been backed by 2 geologists, Victor Gostin and Chris von der Borch, who have prepared documents on the seismic activity and flooding. So the sites are just so inappropriate. But secondly, nobody is listening. We have a law in South Australia prohibiting the development of a nuclear waste dump, and our state government will not uphold the law. So it's really left up to the people, and we do have a rally on the 3rd of November at 11:30 at Parliament House. And we just, as people of South Australia, would like to show that we are questioning this national waste dump, and we need to have it rethought. It really needs to be put to a second authority to see what is really going on.
Yeah, well, it's something that the people of South Australia have stood up for several times already and said no to. But
the concerning thing, Clayton, is that it's kind of been by stealth. People we're talking to often say, well, we've already dealt with that, haven't we? We said no. But this is the federal initiative, not the state initiative. And you try and get the media to talk about it, they just will not. And it's like everything's been clamped down. Keep it silent, slip it in the back door. It's really quite concerning. And our journey up there on the weekend was really about cheering the locals up, because it's terribly distressing what's about to happen to that beautiful Flinders Ranges, where I know I've taken my family for years. So, well, nasty stuff.
We hope people will continue. It's time for the Talk About song, and you guys have elected Start Thinking. Now, is this something that you collaborated with?
At the time that Mark composed this, the music, it was also the time we became aware of the radioactive waste dump. And I thought, man, the song that Mark put forward was very sort of almost futuristic. And I wanted to write a song that was called Start Thinking, asking our governments to start thinking about this. And it's been written by a person who has not been born yet. talking to us and asking us to start thinking. I decided to manipulate some of the words from our national anthem. It goes like this: you had golden soil, you had nature's gifts not to spoil, you had beauty rich and rare. In history's stage, did you blot the page, or did you advance Australia fair? And I think that hits it right on the head, because there's a wonderful saying that I've come across that says, we have not inherited this earth from our parents to do with it as we will. We have borrowed it from our children, and we must be careful to use it in their interests as well as our own. So this song, I wanted it to be all about somebody who has not been born yet, looking back at us and saying, look at my life now, look at what you've done. You really need to start thinking. And we are on the crossroads in Australia with nuclear. We are very much in the crossroads, and I hope we take the right path.
Okay. Well, I think we might play the song, Start Thinking.
Thank you.
You're listening to Songcatcher. That was Start Thinking by our Songcatcher guests, Moss.